print disability, which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Chuck Stevens, and for the next hour, I'll be reading from the recent issues of the Jamestown Post-Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. First up, Board of Health pens letter regarding turbines and battery storage. The Chautauqua County Board of Health is going on record, as it first did back in 2019, offering recommendations to municipalities when it comes to zoning for future wind turbines. The board did not, however, recommend any type of a ban or give any specific setback recommendation. During the May Board of Health meeting, the board approved a letter that it will be sending to municipalities in the county. The letter not only addresses wind turbines, but also battery energy storage systems. In the letter, the Board of Health notes its limit on what it can do. While our organization does not have regulatory authority over zoning or land use decisions, we are committed to supporting municipalities by sharing public health perspectives grounded in available scientific evidence and community experience. In this role, we aim to assist local leaders as they weigh the potential benefits and risks associated with those projects, it states. At the last few Board of Health meetings, county residents have been in attendance, noting how their health has been affected by the current wind turbines. The letter acknowledges their concerns while also acknowledging the importance of green energy. We recognize that renewable energy development and energy storage technologies are important components of broader energy strategies. At the same time, members of our communities have expressed concerns related to potential health and quality of life impacts. These concerns include, but are not limited to, noise, shadow flicker, and visual impacts, especially associated with increased numbers and proximity of wind turbines to residential properties, as well as fire safety, air quality, and emergency response considerations related to battery energy storage systems, the letter states. The acknowledgement of residents' concerns continued. We have also heard directly from residents in communities where similar projects have been proposed or developed, who have expressed concerns about potential impacts to their health, well-being, and quality of life. As a public health organization, we take these concerns seriously, even in cases where scientific evidence is still engaging or inconclusive. These community experiences, combined with evolving research, highlight the importance of careful, transparent, and locally informed decision-making. In 2019, the Board of Health penned a letter recommending local municipalities pass a proper wind law that restricts industrial wind turbines to a minimum of 1.5 miles from any property line and 35 or fewer decibels in sound frequency. The new letter acknowledges the previous letter but does not give further guidance. We encourage you now, as we did in our letter to municipalities in 2019, to maximize setbacks and minimize decibel levels to ensure you are all doing all you can to protect the health of our county and the constituents, the letter states. The Board of Health notes the importance of a thorough and transparent review process that incorporates environmental health and community considerations. The review process may include the following: reviewing the local, state, and international building codes that govern these specific structures, making pertinent updates to local municipal codes following the review, reviewing the most current and credible scientific evidence, considering cumulative and long-term impacts on surrounding communities, ensure meaningful community engagement and opportunities for public input, evaluating emergency preparedness and response capacity, particularly for battery storage facilities, consulting with independent experts where appropriate. The Board of Health is also going to be sending a bibliography list of literature and references. At the May meeting, some board members were concerned the bibliography list was too long. They asked the Public Health Director, Lacey Wilson, take the lead in trimming that list down. Once that's completed, the letter and the list will be sent to municipalities. The Board of Health letter was signed by Dr. Elizabeth Kidder, County Health Board President. Our next article, Borrello, New York City Dem, criticized lack of help in budget. State Senator George Borrello isn't happy with the lack of items in the state budget to make New York more affordable. He's not alone, and his company includes Democrats in the state Senate as well. Borrello spoke specifically about Governor Kathy Hochul's $1 billion power program that will provide rebates to those who filed income taxes in New York in 2024. The program will provide $200 to joint filers with incomes under $150,000 and $150 to joint filers with incomes between $150,000 and $300,000. Single filers with incomes under $150,000 will receive $100. The rebates will be issued as advanced credit checks and will be mailed out between September and December. Those eligible for checks must have filed a timely New York State resident income tax return for the tax year of 2024, been a full-time resident for New York State for the tax year 2024, reported income within the qualifying thresholds, and not been claimed as a dependent on another taxpayer's return. I thought it was interesting that one of the initiatives in this bill is to protect your wallet, Borrello said in his comments on the budget bill. How are we going to protect people's wallets? We'll give them $100 to have their wallets protected from bad policy here from the pickpockets in Albany picking their pockets to the tune of thousands of dollars. It is the failure to do anything about rising energy costs. But we're going to blame the producers, job creators, the people who have been actually paid the bills here in New York State will pick their pockets more. But you know what? Those pockets are portable. They'll leave. The budget also included efforts to lower costs, including putting New York on a path to universal child care and decrease auto insurance rates down for drivers. In addition to the power program checks, Hochul touted budget legislation requiring utilities to present a budget-constrained option when requesting a rate increase to ensure efficiency and affordability are prioritized, ensuring customers do not foot the bill for hidden costs like lobbying, political contributions, and unnecessary executive travel, allowing for the installation of an affordability monitor within any utility company when the average residential bills creep too high, modernizing the way utility rate cases are reviewed to help keep prices manageable, incentivizing the use of smart thermostats to help reduce energy usage and lower bills, and establishing the Rates Commission to investigate the root causes of surging utility bills, evaluate utility profits, review energy market designs, and recommend actionable, transparent reforms. That wasn't enough for Senator Stephen Chan, Democrat from Kings County, who was critical of the budget bills as well. So what happened to the affordability crisis that the governor and my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have been talking about being important for months, Chan said. What happened to no tax on overtime? What happened to the larger rebates for our working class and ratepayers? The bigger breaks for seniors and disabled veterans? I don't see it. $270 billion spent, and I see very little that actually addresses the immediate crisis that faces our good citizens of New York today, and that is affordability, real affordability. Our next article, Attention Getter. Rural Minds PBS documentary airs during Mental Health Awareness Month, written by Sarah Holthouse. A few months ago, a filming team for a show known as Road Trip Nation stopped by Wall Street Dairy to talk with the founder of Rural Minds, Jeff Winton, on mental health issues in rural America. The documentary, filmed that day, has officially aired on PBS. The documentary aired at the beginning of May, which was also Mental Health Awareness Month, and Winton said that it meant a lot to him that even with PBS's ongoing problems with funding from the government, that it is seen and important enough to still air. He added that thanks to sponsors, some of that funding has been restored, And that with PBS's wide platform, the documentary has already been seen in 82 million households since it first aired last month. The documentary has also aired on a few other public broadcasting stations as well, and Winton said it overall helps Rural Minds' visibility as they continue to advocate and highlight mental health needs in rural America. May was Mental Health Awareness Month, and it was the perfect time to have our documentary episode air during the month set aside for mental health, Winton said. I think we should focus on mental health every day of the year, but it was the perfect time to have it air in the historically set-aside month. It was important to have it air during May for farmers as well, Winton said, as May is usually a busy time with them trying to get hay in and crops planted. The documentary is one that Winton said should not just be of interest to farmers, but to everyone. Everyone is impacted by mental illness, whether you are on the journey personally or you know someone that is, Winton said. Mental illness impacts everyone. We represent rural America, but we also focus on the farming community, those who help to raise our food, fiber, and ethanol, especially as ethanol continues to become more important with the rising fuel costs. People that live on farms make up less than 2% of the population, Winton said. But they are the ones feeding, clothing, and fueling the world. Therefore, he added, it is important for everyone to understand the troubles they face. The farming community in rural America also have a diverse population across America. Rural America is a rich tapestry of humanity, and they are currently feeling great stress with the trade war, fertilizer costs, immigration issues, and this documentary helps us bring understanding to the public who may not know that, Winton said. The Road Trip Nation documentary was filmed at Wall Street Dairy in August. Winton said 3 college students came in a big green RV and that all of them were considering going into careers in mental health. Rural Minds was the only rural area featured in the documentary, and the students also traveled to Los Angeles, Boston, New York City, Washington, and Atlanta, all to talk about the ongoing mental health crisis. While the focus of the documentary was in typical urban settings, Winton said the students all had farming backgrounds of some sort as well, and they all felt showing rural America was important. The students were also able to experience farm work, see baby calves and goats, and see what overall life is like on a working farm. Winton said he hopes that seeing the rural side in contrast to the urban side will also help to spark some interest in that for them in their future careers as well. Road Trip Nation explores many topics, and the documentary focusing on mental health was split into 2 episodes. Part 1, Our Shared Healing, which is the episode featuring Rural Minds, and Part 2, Fostering Compassion, with the overall title of the documentary being Where Well-Being Grows. The documentary will have aired 231 times across PBS stations between when it first aired on May 1st and the final air date of June 30th, also reaching 135 cities, 32 states, and 82 million households. It's gaining a lot of attention and helping us shine a light on the mental health issues in rural America, Winton said. We do have obstacles when it comes to mental health services in rural America, but there is help and there is hope available for anyone in need. First, you have to admit you need help and then seek help. Living with a mental illness is similar to living with cancer or heart disease or other physical illnesses, Winton said. Only when someone has a physical illness, they will seek the help they need, but with the stigma surrounding mental health, that becomes less likely in the case of mental illness. With all of the stigma surrounding mental illness, people will not consider it an actual illness, but it is the same as any physical illness, Winton said. We need to look at it just like physical illness and not be ashamed to get the help you need. This stigma is there in all of society, but especially in rural America. In rural America, Winton said, people will become concerned about what admitting they need help means, and that it will make them look weak. People will become concerned about what admitting they need help means, and that it will make them look weak. This is something he said people need to get beyond, because only after they get beyond that will they get the help they really need. Rural Minds exists to help people get that help and connect them with services that could be life-changing. Other services out there include the 988 number, a 24/7 hotline that people can call or text for help. Family members of someone who needs help can call too and be connected to a live trained professional who can help them in that moment and connect them with services for later. Rural Minds website, ruralminds.org, also has helpful information to connect people to services, including a link to the PBS documentary and to their recently introduced program, the Farmer Resilience Program. Winton said their section of the PBS documentary was filmed in Chautauqua County and focused on the county, also being the first time many of the Road Trip Nation team had ever been in the area. These mental health issues seen in rural America are also seen in Chautauqua County, Winton said. There is help and there is hope, but it has to start with you, Winton said. You have to reach out to someone and talk about what is bothering you. It starts with the individual. People that make up the communities of rural America can help by being the eyes and ears of the community, Winton added. And that if they see something out of character, they need to say something. People suffering from mental health issues will usually have a change in routine or behavior, Winton said, giving examples such as someone stopping, showing up for church, or a farm that is usually well kept now falling into disarray. It takes all of us to be the eyes and ears of the community, Winton said. We need to notice things and be vigilant and not be afraid of asking the difficult questions. It's the responsibility of family and community members to notice, and it shows that person that someone cares. It will take all of us to turn this train around. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the Jamestown Post-Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. And, of course, the Jamestown Post-Journal can also be heard on your favorite podcast platform. Next up, the Bust-Eye Board receives Route 394 Sidewalk Project Update. From Lakewood, Bust-Eye Town officials received an update Monday from the State Department of Transportation regarding proposed alternative improvements to the proposed Fairmount Avenue Sidewalk Extension Project. The proposed project affects both the village of Lakewood and the town. On March 5th, the DOT held a public hearing at the Bust-Eye Town offices at 125 Chautauqua Avenue to gather feedback regarding the project. In a May 27th letter to both Village Mayor Randy Holcomb and Bust-Eye Town Supervisor Jesse Robbins, Karian Schultz, DOT Regional Design Engineer, said the project is a safety and paving project that is also intended to provide active transportation improvements to pedestrian connectivity. New York State DOT has reviewed and considered all the public input and the pedestrian count results, which demonstrate pedestrian use of New York Route 394. As such, New York State DOT plans to progress the project with an adjusted preferred alternative, Schultz said. The following improvements are listed with the proposed preferred alternative: resurfacing Route 394 between Winch Road and Elmcrest Avenue, widening for a center two-way left turn lane along Route 394 between Shadyside and Elmcrest Avenues, replacement of signage throughout the corridor, new sidewalk installation along the north side of Route 394 between Shadyside and Chautauqua Avenues. Schultz said this action will close a critical gap in sidewalk between the village and the urban center. A new sidewalk along the south side of Route 394 between Route 474 and Green Street. Schultz said there are a significant number of destinations, ice cream shop, mini golf, cinema, a plaza, etc., throughout that segment. Schultz said installing sidewalk segments between Chautauqua Avenue and Green Street are not currently included in the preferred alternative. We believe this final proposed alternative addresses the identified safety concerns within the corridor while balancing a strong public desire To minimize intrusions caused by new sidewalk placement, Schultz continued. Town board members took no action, but acknowledged they received the letter. In a related matter, the board also acknowledged and approved the permanent acquisition of 23 square feet of right-of-way from the town's War Memorial to the state DOT. On May 11th, as a preliminary measure, representatives from the DOT spoke to Bustite town officials and private property owners about proposed changes to the five-way intersection. In an April 16th letter to town officials, the DOT is preparing to acquire property needed for the proposed reconstruction of pedestrian signals, curb ramps, and sidewalks to be compliant with the American with Disabilities Act, known as ADA, said DOT real estate specialist Suzanne Eddy. The DOT noted that requirements for pedestrian accessibility will be at various locations within Chautauqua County. She also mentioned that other sidewalks are located in Erie and Niagara counties. Robbins said the DOT first wanted only 10 square feet, but now has requested 23 square feet. Eddy said in May that the work will be done. The work that will be done will include 2 parcels of land that are owned by the town and 2 parcels on private properties. She said no work will begin before spring or summer in 2027. Eddy said that she is responsible for only land acquisition and not the proposed redesign of the intersection. Alex Enright, DOT real estate specialist, who will be appraising the parcels, said that the DOT is going to make the sidewalk portions wider to be ADA compliant. In other businesses, the board approved the appointment of Jack McRae as a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals effective immediately. His term is for 5 years. Due to the 4th of July holiday, the board will hold its next meeting on June 29th. As part of the nation's 250th anniversary, on July 3rd from 12:30 to 4:30 p.m., a celebration will be held at the town offices at 125 Chautauqua Avenue. In other news from the Post-Journal, a city woman charged after alleged stabbing and robbery. A Jamestown woman faces charges after allegedly stabbing another person and robbing them Monday night. Jamestown police report Breonna S. Bush, 26, of Jamestown, was charged with 2 counts of first-degree burglary, second-degree assault, and fourth-degree criminal possession of a weapon at 11:21 p.m. Monday on Jamestown's east side after officers responded to a report of a person with a weapon and a person who had been stabbed. Bush allegedly went to the victim's house, forced her way inside, and engaged in a physical altercation. During the fight, both Bush and the other person sustained non-life-threatening injuries from a knife. Bush was treated for her injuries and taken to the city jail until she could be arraigned. In other local news from Cassadaga, a review of zoning laws, the village of Cassadaga will reopen discussion on its zoning law as the 2025 update was never officially filed with the state. As a result, the old zoning laws are currently in effect, and instead of resubmitting the new laws as the zoning rewrite committee submitted last year, the new administration wants to take a closer look. Mayor Rudy Abersold, Trustee Dave Rowley, and Trustee Jeff Frick, none of whom were on the village board when the law was approved, expressed a desire to look over the laws and tweak portions where they see fit before it was submitted to the state. Rowley said, "My thought is, I think we should take another look at it. There are some concerns expressed about the short-term rentals being too stringent. We've heard from some of the folks in the community. I think we should take another look at the entire law." "It's not going to hurt to take another look," Frick said. "We'll fix anything that we feel needs fixing, and the community needs fixing, and then we'll be done with it." The document submitted by the Zoning Rewrite Committee is lengthy and detailed. Trustee Dana Dubois is the only trustee at the recent meeting who was on the village board at the time of its initial approval. She emphasized the time commitment it takes to go through the document again. Rowley stated he has already looked through it multiple times. Abersold said that he has spoken with Code Enforcement Officer Dan Delcamp about the zoning law numerous times, and Delcamp feels the law is very restrictive of what he can do to address issues in the village. Abersold assured the public that all the work done by the Zoning Rewrite Committee over the past several years will not be thrown away or ignored. Abersold wants to resubmit the law to the County Planning Board for more guidance. A public hearing will be held once the zoning law is reintroduced. Following the public hearing, the board can then act on it as a local law in 2026. The Village Board also recently adopted the 2026-27 budget. Residents will see an increase of 11 cents per $1,000 of assessed value at a new tax rate of $3.43 per $1,000. The total budget amount is $591,434, with $152,887 to be raised by taxes, and the budget stayed under the tax cap. More news from the area. Pennsylvania man charged after allegedly threatening a Cattaraugus County deputy. A man with ties to Warren County, Pennsylvania, has been charged with allegedly threatening a Cattaraugus County Sheriff's Office deputy. Leighton Love, age 46, was arrested and charged by criminal complaint with interstate communications of a threat, which carries a maximum penalty of 5 years in prison. According to the complaint, the Cattaraugus County Sheriff's Office contacted the FBI regarding threatening text messages sent on May 18, 2026, to the telephone number of a detective with the sheriff's office. "You and your family are going to die soon," the text message stated, according to a report from the U.S. Attorney's Office in Buffalo. "I will personally do the job if necessary. Death to the weaponized government means death to the weaponized government literally. You are living on borrowed time. The home you own is a legitimate target and will be hit at a time and place of my choosing. Prepare to die, and everyone you hold dear. Your terrorist regime will burn." Subsequent investigation identified Love as the user of the telephone number the threatening text messages were sent from. On May 21st, a New York State arrest warrant was issued, charging Love with making a terrorist threat and aggravated harassment. Love was located and arrested by Pennsylvania State Police at his parents' residence in Eldred, PA. Love made an initial appearance before U.S. Magistrate Judge H. Kenneth Schroeder, Jr., and was held pending a detention hearing on June 8th. The case is being prosecuted by Assistant U.S. Attorney Jeffrey E. Intravolta. The complaint is a result of an investigation by the Federal Bureau of Investigation under the direction of Acting Special Agent in Charge Brendan Dunford and the Cattaraugus County Sheriff's Office under the direction of Sheriff Eric Butler. It's the second time this year the U.S. Attorney's Office has prosecuted such a case in the region. In January, U.S. Attorney Michael Giacomo announced that a federal grand jury has returned an indictment charging Matthew White, age 43, of Jamestown, with threatening to assault and murder a federal law enforcement officer and interstate communications with threat to injure a person. The charges carry a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison. Assistant U.S. Attorney Evan K. Gaberson, who is handling the case, stated that according to the indictment on April 30th, 2025, White threatened to assault and murder a federal law enforcement officer employed by the Department of Homeland Security with the intent of interfering in the officer's performance of his duties. In addition, White posted threats on X, stating, "I can't wait to put a bullet in this guy's brain, but first his children." In May, a Lebanon, Pennsylvania man was jailed after making threats towards several state Democratic Party lawmakers in leadership positions. The state police at Jonestown have charged Adam G. Berryhill, age 42, of Lebanon, PA, with terroristic threats with intent to terrorize another after Berryhill allegedly posted a threat on his X account on April 7th and again April 22nd, threatening several legislative Democrats, including Ben Sanchez, Jordan Harris, Rick Rajeski, Malcolm Kenyatta, Danielo Burgos, Chris Rabb, Joe Hohenstein, Mary Isaacson, Emily Kinkhead, Lindsley Williamson, Steve Santorasso, Amanda Capoletti, Maria Collette, Sharif Street, Judy Schwenk, John Kane, Tim Briggs, Joanna McClinton, Morgan Cephas, and Katie Muth. Berry Hills ex-Post mentioned Memorial Day as a possible date for an operation. According to the affidavit of probable cause, the investigation began when a state trooper who was part of the dignitary security section was alerted to several concerning social media posts involving McClinton, to whom the trooper is assigned. Your affidavit further declares that Berry Hills posts demonstrate a pattern of behavior consistent with preparation for violence, including dissemination of tactical guidance for engaging law enforcement, discussion of ambush-style tactics, and encouragement of armed conflict against government entities, the affidavit states. The cumulative nature of Berry Hills communications, naming specific targets, expressing willingness to engage in lethal violence, referencing prior acts of political violence, and outlining tactical methods, demonstrates both intent and capability to carry out such threats, causing serious harm. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the Jamestown Post-Journal on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Don't forget to go to your app store and download our free app to your smartphone, where you can always listen live and access all of the podcasts, too. Our next article from the Post-Journal: the Union Pacific's Big Boy number 4014 scheduled to stop in Ripley Tuesday, June the 9th. The world's largest operating steam locomotive will visit Tuesday. The Union Pacific's Big Boy number 4014, built in 1941, is on a 14-state round-trip tour as part of celebrations for the United States' 250th anniversary. Union Pacific is collaborating with Norfolk Southern on the tour. The eastern portion of the tour is on Norfolk Southern tracks, and the railroad has offered a historic passenger car from its heritage fleet, along with commemorative locomotives, for Big Boy's tour. The train is currently headed eastbound to Philadelphia and was in Boone, Iowa, Monday morning at the time of this writing. It's scheduled to make a 10-minute whistle stop in Northeast late in the morning of June 9th before a short haul up the tracks to Ripley. The Ripley stop is set for the State Street crossing. Big Boy is scheduled to arrive at noon on Tuesday, then depart for Buffalo at 12:30 p.m. The train will be on public display in Buffalo on June 10th from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. This is an extraordinary opportunity for Chautauqua County and the town of Ripley to be part of a truly historic national celebration, said Chautauqua County Executive Paul M. Wendell Jr. Big Boy number 4014 represents not only the innovation and determination that helped build America, but also the enduring spirit of our nation as we approach the 250th anniversary of the United States. We are proud to welcome visitors from near and far to experience this incredible event right here in Chautauqua County. Officials anticipate a large turnout of rail enthusiasts, families, photographers, and visitors hoping to witness the massive locomotive in action. County and local leaders are urging the public to prioritize safety and plan ahead for travel delays and increased traffic in the Ripley area. We are thrilled to welcome Big Boy number 4014 to Ripley and look forward to sharing this historic moment with our community and visitors alike, said Ripley Supervisor Dr. Lori Pless. At the same time, we ask everyone attending to remain patient, follow posted detours and parking instructions, and respect any temporary street closures so the event remains safe and enjoyable for everybody. Motorists and visitors are encouraged to allow extra travel time when arriving and departing, follow all posted traffic detours, obey local law enforcement and emergency personnel, and remain aware of changing traffic patterns throughout the day. Public safety remains our top priority as we prepare for what is expected to be a very busy and exciting event, said Noel Gutman, Chautauqua County Director of Emergency Services. We encourage attendees to plan ahead, stay alert, and monitor updates from Chautauqua County government and the town of Ripley leading up to the train's arrival. By working together and following traffic safety guidance, we can help ensure everyone has a safe experience. Chautauqua County officials also encourage attendees to remain on public property, avoid standing on railroad tracks or restricted areas, and supervise children closely while viewing the train. Additional event updates, traffic information, and public safety notices will be shared by Chautauqua County government and the town of Ripley through official communication channels and social media platforms. Originally delivered to Union Pacific Railroad in 1941, Big Boy number 4014 is the largest operating steam locomotive in the world. The locomotive was restored to operation in 2019 and now serves as a traveling ambassador for railroad history and American innovation. For additional information, including the full tour schedule and updates from Union Pacific, visit www.up-us/history/steam/schedule. Big Boy will then dip south with a stop at Letchworth State Park June 11th. It's scheduled to stop in various places such as Hornell, Owego, and Scranton on its way to Philadelphia. Big Boy will have a lengthy layover in Scranton between June 15th and July 1st due to scheduled maintenance. After a 4th of July weekend displayed in the city of brotherly love, Big Boy will turn around and head back west through Pennsylvania. The closest it will be to Chautauqua County on that run is a July 13th stop in Conneaut, Ohio, with no public access scheduled. Big Boy's tour will conclude on July 29th in Cheyenne, Wyoming. That's where it started, on May 25th. More from the Jamestown Post-Journal. Legislation that would implement a gas tax holiday has been introduced in the state legislature, though it may be too late to pass in this week's end-of-season rush. Assemblyman Keith Brown, a Republican from Comac, had legislation introduced in the Rules Committee on his behalf late last week. The bill is being co-sponsored by Republican Carl Brabanek, Conservative Democrat Kalam Yeager, Republican Alec Brooke Krasny, Republican Ken Blankenbush, Republican Joe Angelino, Republican David McDonough, and Republican Daniel Norber. Brown proposes providing for a fuel tax holiday until the end of ongoing hostilities with Iran and reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. A barrel of oil is trading between $103 and $113 today, and although we have no control over the prices set internationally for oil, we do have control over the additional taxes we in New York State levy on a gallon of gas at the pump. New York State adds 26.15 cents in taxes to each gallon sold. With the large tanks found in family SUVs, this can add a significant out-of-pocket expense over the course of a month, Brown wrote last week in his legislative justification. This bill shall alleviate this extra expenditure to New York State residents by giving the tax a holiday during the remainder of this conflict. This will allow for some relief at the pumps and help families that are struggling during this economically difficult time. The average price for a gallon of gas in Jamestown is 5 cents lower this week at $4.60, according to AAA East Central's gas price report. While the national average price has decreased 18 cents from last week to $4.32 a gallon amid reports of peace talks with Iran. Monday brought reports Iran may suspend those talks, leaving the potential for higher oil and gas prices again. Gas prices remain the highest they've been in 4 years and will likely remain elevated as the busy summer driving season gets underway, according to AAA. While Monday's national average is 7 cents less than a month ago, it is $1.18 more than a year ago. The nation's top 10 most expensive gasoline markets are California, $6.03 a gallon, Washington, $5.71 a gallon, Hawaii, $5.63 a gallon, Alaska, $5.23 a gallon, Oregon, $5.23, Nevada at $5.14, Illinois at $4.76, Arizona $4.68, Idaho $4.61, and Washington, D.C. $4.60. The nation's 10 least expensive gasoline markets are Indiana, $3.66, Oklahoma $3.80, Texas $3.80, Georgia $3.83, Louisiana $3.85, Mississippi 385, South Carolina 390, Kansas 390, Arkansas 393, and Tennessee 393. The United States said Monday that it bombed radar and drone sites in Iran after Tehran shot down an American drone over the weekend. Iran then said it targeted American soldiers in Kuwait with missiles, which the U.S. says it shot down. The nominal ceasefire between Iran and the U.S. has been reportedly tested with back-and-forth attacks, though officials from both countries are still trying to negotiate an end to the war. It's not clear how close they are to a deal, and there's always the risk that an attack could derail those talks. Fighting has also been escalating between Israel and the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah, despite their nominal ceasefire, and that has increasingly threatened the emerging deal to extend the Iran war ceasefire. On Monday afternoon, U.S. President Donald Trump said Israel and Hezbollah had agreed to dial back their fighting after he held talks with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and communicated with Hezbollah through mediators. Moments later, though, Israel said it had detected missile launches from Lebanon and warned Israelis in parts of northern Israel to take cover in protected spaces. Meanwhile, Iran maintained its chokehold on the Strait of Hormuz, disrupting global energy supplies and driving up the price of fuel around the world with far-reaching consequences. A cargo ship came under attack off Iraq Monday afternoon, the British military said. The uncertainty is prompting Brown to mount a last-ditch effort to implement a gas tax holiday before the end of the state legislative session at the end of the week. Gas prices have surged since the start of the conflict with Iran. AAA puts the current average price in New York State for regular gas at $4.61 a gallon. This is $1.60 higher per gallon than it was in February of this year. That 35% increase for every gallon has a significant effect on consumers and our economy, Brown wrote in his legislative justification. According to the Institute for Economic Policy Research at Stanford University, gas is one of the least discretionary items in a household budget, and for lower-income households, gas is a larger share of their budget, leaving less room for other purchases. Higher gas prices affect everything from the cost of goods, higher airfares, shipping costs, and the price of food at the grocery store. Our next article, Genover seeks outcomes at retired sites. NRG Energy Incorporated's era in Dunkirk and northern Chautauqua County has come to an end after more than a quarter-century partnership that began in 1999. It was in June of that year when the company purchased the Niagara Mohawk Power Corporation station. As part of that same deal, it also purchased the Huntley station located in Tonawanda. Both coal-fired plants went through major renovations while under NRG's ownership, while generating 760 megawatts of power through coal generation that was some of the cleanest in the nation. During those years, the plant hummed. NRG had a strong presence in the community through its employment and support of nonprofits. In 2016, both plants were mothballed by the company as New York State went a different direction with power generation, looking to get away from fossil fuels and transition to renewables of solar and wind. On Monday, NRG announced the sale of the massive Dunkirk site to Genover, a firm focused on responsibly redeveloping legacy industrial properties. On its website, the company says it has been built on more than 25 years of operating, engineering, and capital markets experience across the industrial energy sector. The platform exists on a thesis that the American energy transition would require a new kind of operator, one capable of moving capital across the full industrial asset life cycle rather than specializing in any single stage. Headquartered in Texas, with project experience spanning North America, Latin America, Europe, and Asia Pacific, its portfolio spans utility-scale generation, brownfield industrial properties, engineering design services, and end-of-life decommissioning. We work with utilities planning generation retirements, sponsors evaluating industrial acquisitions, public entities structuring infrastructure mandates, and capital partners seeking platform exposure to the energy transition. The company maintains on its website, in every engagement, our commitment is the same: rigorous diligence, disciplined execution, and outcomes that compound over time. An email sent to officials at Genover on Monday had not been returned to the Observer by Tuesday afternoon. But Vince DeJoy of Dunkirk's Development Department indicated that he had been in conversations with the company in previous years. This is the news that people of Dunkirk have long awaited, DeJoy said in the statement. Through the planned studies funded by ARC and NYSERDA with top consultants and the persistence of our local team, Dunkirk is positioned for new and great possibilities for potential new development. One of the projects referenced by Genover included a power plant in the State Line Generating Station in Hammond, Indiana. According to the Whitting Robertsdale Historical Society in Indiana, the station was an engineering and architectural marvel, supplying the electricity needed for the Commonwealth Edison and Northern Indiana public service systems to power the businesses, farms, and homes of millions of people in northwest Indiana and northern Illinois. For 25 of its 83 years, it was the largest electric generating station in the world. Dominion Resources made the decision against complying with the strict EPA coal regulations and against upgrading the equipment necessary to continue operating the facility that led to the plant closing. That site is now home to the Digital Crossroad Indiana Data Center, which is located on Lake Michigan. This pioneering project will be incredibly impactful for our community and the state of Indiana, hailed Hammond's Mayor Thomas M. McDermott, Jr., regarding the project in 2025. The community impact payments the city will be receiving from CoreWeave as part of the development agreement will not only help with new citywide infrastructure and quality of life initiatives, but also will help thousands of students in Hammond go to college through our College Bound program. It can't get more impactful than that. As part of the NRG feasibility and reuse study and alternatives analysis from June 2021 that was prepared for the city of Dunkirk and Chautauqua County, a data center and industrial redevelopment with a data center were two of the preferred reuse concepts for the site, according to the report. Other proposals include in the report were repowering of the facility, industrial development, and a battery storage facility. While Dunkirk is parting amicably with NRG, its neighbors to the north remain locked in a legal dispute. The town of Tonawanda is aiming to secure the Huntley plant site through eminent domain. NRG, however, is not interested in that option at the moment. Briefly around the county from the Jamestown Post-Journal, the Reg Lena Center for the Arts will screen the film Hoppers at 2 p.m. Saturday, June 6. Hoppers is a Disney Pixar's newest animated feature. Animal lover Mabel seizes an opportunity to use a new technology to hop her consciousness into a lifelike robotic beaver and communicate directly with animals. As she uncovers mysteries in the animal world beyond anything she could have imagined, Mabel befriends charismatic beaver King George and must rally the entire animal kingdom to face a major imminent human threat. Smooth-talking local mayor Jerry Generazzo. Hoppers is rated PG. It's 105 minutes long. Tickets for most movies at the Reg are 8 in person at the box office, 10 online, or by calling 716-484-7070. Family showings are $7 in person at the box office, $9 online and by phone. The theater and box office at the Reg are located at 116 East 3rd Street in Jamestown. The box office is open Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, noon to 5, and 1 hour before movies and events. The Kiwanis Club is sponsoring an AMBA Wellness Program June 26. The Jamestown Kiwanis Club sponsoring an AMBA Wellness Program June 6 at the Tree of Life Evangelical Church at 825 Forest Avenue in Jamestown from 6:30 to 9:30 a.m. The AMBA Wellness Program includes blood tests for coronary disease, liver and kidney disease, anemia, diabetes, and other types of diseases. The cost for the full AMBA panel is $60. In addition, the Jamestown Kiwanis Club will collect a $10 sponsorship fee, which will assist various local programs for children such as the JHS Ski Club, Jamestown Boys and Girls Club, youth soccer, and vocational scholarships. The following optional tests are also available for an additional fee and require a separate script from a physician: prostate-specific antigen PSA, thyroid TSH, vitamin D, hemoglobin A1C, and Ensure colon rectal kit. Appointments are required and can be made by calling 800-234-8888. Kiwanis International is a global organization of volunteers dedicated to changing the world by one child and one community at a time. New members are always welcome. For more information, about Kiwanis, call Wendy Wilcox, 716-450-6874, or Chuck Nazaro, 716-450-6492. The Fluvanna Cemetery Association will be meeting on June 4th. The annual meeting of the Fluvanna Cemetery Association held on June 4th, 6 p.m. at the cemetery. All members are welcome to attend. Watts Flats UMC to host musical program on Sunday. Joyce Igo and Stephen Nichols will present a musical program at Watts Flats United Methodist Church, 886 Blockville Watts Flats Road, Asheville, Sunday, June 7th. There will be a potluck dinner at 5 p.m. with the program to follow, and the public is welcome to attend. And a New York State bowling safety certificate course will be hosted by the Westfield Police Department and Chautauqua County Sheriff's Office Navigation Patrol from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturday, June 6 at Easton Hall, 23 Elm Street, Westfield. The course is free. Students must be at least 10 years old to take the course. Adults over the age of 18 who pass the course will pay a $10 fee to New York State for a permanent certificate. For more information, contact Navigation Deputy Michael Williams, 716-753-4232. And Palliative Care will host its annual Service of Remembrance and Memorial Butterfly Release Saturday, June 6. In many cultures, butterflies symbolize the remarkable transformation between worlds, said Jamie Probst, Chautauqua Hospice and Palliative Care Director of Bereavement Services. As butterflies emerge from their chrysalis, they signify both an end and a beginning, a profound representation of the journey of grief. It's through this journey that we discover new ways to cherish and preserve the bonds we share. The service will include a brief memorial program, followed by a butterfly release. The service will be live streamed from Chautauqua Hospice and Palliative Care's Facebook page at 1 p.m., and the video will remain available afterwards on both the Chautauqua Hospice and Palliative Care website and Facebook page. Community members are also invited to attend the live recording and butterfly release in person at Chautauqua Hospice and Palliative Care's Lakewood campus at the same date and time. Guests may pick up butterflies Saturday, 10 a.m. to noon at either the Chautauqua Hospice and Palliative Care location at 20 West Fairmount Avenue, Lakewood, or at 15 West 6th Street in Dunkirk. Each butterfly may be purchased in memory of one or more loved ones, and memorial names will be included in the online memorial program. Names may also be submitted for the memorial listing without purchasing a butterfly. The memorial program will be posted on Saturday. At CHPC, we witness every day how deeply love continues long after loss, said Mike Testa, Chautauqua Hospice and Palliative Care CEO. Our butterfly release and service of remembrance gives families a chance to pause, reflect, and honor the lives and memories of those who will always remain part of them. It is one of the most meaningful ways we come together as a community. For more information, contact Chautauqua Hospice and Palliative Care 716-338-0033 or visit the Chautauqua Hospice and Palliative Care website. And next up, registration being accepted for a new family service program. Family Service of Chautauqua Region is launching a new program aimed at supporting young adults with high-functioning autism or other developmental disabilities who are transitioning to independent living, as well as providing resources for their caregivers. The program, Life Launch, Learning Independence and Functional Engagement, is designed to help participants build independence, strengthen communication skills, and develop social connections in a supportive group setting. Program organizers say the initiative addresses a growing need in the community for services that support individuals as they transition into adulthood. The transition often poses significant hurdles for young adults with developmental disabilities who frequently face a service cliff when the structured support of the school system ends. Navigating employment, managing independent households, overcoming social isolation, and mastering executive functioning skills like budgeting and scheduling can feel overwhelming without a dedicated framework. Young adulthood can be a challenging time of transition, said Julie Chipman, Clinical Director at Family Service. Life Launch is about creating a space where participants can grow at their own pace while building confidence and real-world skills. The program will include separate but complementary opportunities for both the young adults and their caregivers. Young adult participants will engage in structured activities focused on communication, self-advocacy, independent living skills, and social interaction. Caregivers will participate in guided discussions, sharing experiences and learning practical strategies to support their loved ones through this transition. Meetings will be held at the Landmark Restaurant in Jamestown, which has offered its banquet room accessible off Monroe Street for the group sessions. Young adults will meet twice monthly, while caregiver groups will meet once a month. Those interested in participating can register by calling Family Service of the Chautauqua Region, 716-488-1971, or enrolling through the Family Service of the Chautauqua Region website at familyservicechq.org and clicking Make an Appointment. There'll be an option to select Life Launch Group from the list of available services. Those registering will be contacted by the office to set up a screening appointment where more information will be gathered to help tailor the group to each participant's goals and needs. The anticipated start date for the group is June 22nd at 5 p.m. The time may be modified based on participation's input. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from recent issues of the Jamestown Post-Journal. We read from the Jamestown Post-Journal every Saturday at 6 p.m. Your reader has been Chuck Stevens. Thank you for listening.
Coming up next on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have the Niagara Falls Review. At 8 o'clock, we have Off Duty from the Wall Street Journal. And at 9 o'clock, we have Sports Illustrated. Stay with us for these readings and more. following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability, which